good morning, and welcome to the Africa Weekly Talk. Today's subject on the docket is about the former University of Iowa superstar, Caitlin Clarke, who was also selected as the #1 overall pick by the Indiana Fever in this year's WNBA draft. But Caitlin Clarke's superstardom status and influence has also created some controversies, especially after she signed multi-million-dollar deals with Nike and other companies. This also led to an article written by AP News sports writer Kyle Hightower talking about the racial disparity of contracts among companies and WNBA Black players. But fellows, let's go ahead and hear a panel of discussion led by Roland Martin on his podcast, Roland Martin Unfiltered, where they talked about this whole issue about Caitlin Clarke's endorsements with these companies. And I'll come back and dissect this whole issue about what is going on. So let's go ahead and hear what Roland Martin and these people on the panel talked about. And I'll come back and dissect this whole issue. Let's go ahead and hear it. All right, fellows, let's go ahead and hear what Roland Martin had to say with this, and this panel have to talk about. All right, let's go ahead and hear it.
You know what? I wish a lot of Black people would shut the hell up about Caitlin Clarke in the WNBA. Let me explain why I'm saying that. I've watched people do these commentaries. Oh, they sitting here giving the white girl more contracts than the Black person. All this back and forth. Let me remind people of something. The NBA was in the gutter. The NBA was considered a drugged fuel league. In fact, let me help y'all out. My Houston Rockets played the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals. I think that was 81. It was on tape delay. Let me say that again. It was on tape delay, the NBA Finals. The news came on at 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. Central in Houston, and they showed the game on tape delay after the news went off. That's how much the NBA sucked. Yet two people came into the league, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. And the reality is those two individuals representing two iconic franchises, Boston Celtics, Los Angeles Lakers. They played against each other in the NCAA National Championship game. That created the energy that revived and turned around the NBA. And so I was just seeing today, because the WNBA announced that teams now will be able to do charter flights. And I was like, oh, idiots. Now they doing charters because the video came out of Caitlin Clarke walking through the airport having to be surrounded by security. Nope. The reason they now are going to have charters in the WNBA because they now have more money. Their media rights deal is going to be a much higher deal than it was in the past. That's what's going on. Amazon and another major company announced, Amazon and Adidas, I think, announced a major investment in terms of WNBA players. I need people to sometimes chill the hell out with, oh my goodness, there's like the white girl getting all his attention. Here's the whole deal. Let me just help folks out, because it ain't hard. Mm-hmm. There are more white people in America.
Yep.
Those are the numbers. And so if you're an advertiser and you're going to market a Caitlin Clarke, mm-hmm. who, whether you like it or not, did break numerous records, great. let me help everybody out there who's complaining about something. When a black guy started playing golf, you know what happened? TV contracts got renegotiated and the purses went through the roof. It's a whole bunch of white golfers sitting there like, man, I'm glad Tiger came along because we all got paid if Tiger come along. Versus sitting here complaining about Caitlin Clark and, oh, why these things are happening because of Caitlin Clark. Maybe folks should step back and now realize that with the resurgence of the ratings and the basketball ratings and what's going to happen with WNBA and now more attention, guess what? Everybody's now going to get paid more money.
Yep.
So I'm not tripping about the attention being paid to Caitlin Clark. I'm like, good. Because the vast majority of players in the WNBA are black. Which now means that if the value of the WNBA increases, the salaries of black players increase. That now means that you're going to have more contracts, more endorsement deals for other players. And let's stop tripping. You've had some great white female ball players before. Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird. I mean, Rebecca Lobo. Y'all, come on. I just think that sometimes folk are so touchy and they don't realize what's going on. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and all the other players
gonna get paid.
It's great for women's basketball. And I hope the ratings go through the roof. The demand of play, that was, the WNBA did not show the first preseason game of the Chicago Sky. Now, I'm going to blame the Chicago Sky owners. Because see, guess what? The Indiana Fever owners, they rolled the red carpet for Caitlin Clark. They completely capitalized on her popularity. They had the jersey ready, everything. Chicago Sky, that Angel Reese news conference, that shit sucked. It sucked ass. It was horrible. Now, I blame ownership for that. I blame management for that. If you're the Chicago Sky and you ain't marketing Angel Reese right, that's on you. Not WNBA. But I want black folks to recognize that if Caitlin Clark causes the WNBA's media rights to skyrocket and jersey sales to skyrocket and all of these teams become elevated, I'm good with that. Because a lot of black ball players are going to benefit as well. Let's go to my panel, chat about this here. Kelly, I've watched a lot of women's hoops. When Texas A&M went to the NCAA championship, played Notre Dame. They beat Stanford in the semifinals. I booked a flight to Indianapolis. I was there for the championship game when they won. Hugely supportive of my man, Gary Blair was the head coach. I grew up in Houston. We watched the Houston Comets, the first dynasty in the WNBA, win 3 championships. Tina Thompson, Cynthia Cooper, as well as Cheryl Swoops. When I look at it, I remember the UConn Tennessee games were just legendary. I mean, you're seeing this, but I just think a lot of people are being way too damn sensitive as if, oh my goodness, how they mistreating the sister, Angel Reese versus the white girl getting all the attention. I'm sorry. The Indiana Fever were prepared to blow everything out of the water. Chicago Sky were not. And guess what? Again, just like with Tiger, if Caitlin Clark's presence causes ratings to skyrocket and money to skyrocket, everybody benefits, not just her.
I think 2 things can be true at the same time. Your viewpoint of Caitlin Clark elevating the visibility of the NBA and elevating the value of the WNBA, that very well may be true because she's an excellent ball player. I'm not going to take that away from her. I can't take that away from her. The stats speak for themselves. But there is a point of contention being that she is getting this exposure because she's white. It's not that Black women basketball players weren't ever as good as Caitlin Clark. They were. They just didn't get that attention.
But also, also nobody was watching.
But they weren't watching because they were Black women.
They weren't watching because we live in a sports world that was male dominated, and the people who are sitting. First of all, you had some white girls hooping back then too. So it wasn't like Cheryl Miller, Teresa Witherspoon, Dawn Staley. It was just them. You had some white girls hooping. We're just simply seeing the league and the embracing of women's sports come of age. And I'm like, great. Clark, Reese, whoever, everybody come along, because finally they can now start making real money in America, and I ain't got to go overseas.
Yep.
Again, true. But there's layers to this. It's not just the fact that there's an elevation of women's sports, but the elevation specifically when it comes to the WNBA and Caitlin Clark, it's because Caitlin Clark is white. I mean, that is a layer to it, right? I'm not saying, again, I'm not dismissing her accomplishments. I'm not trying to inflate Reese's accomplishment.
Got it.
But again, the reason why we're seeing a lot of what we're seeing in the WNBA is because their star player is a white woman.
And if Larry Bird was not white, and when Magic Johnson came out, you would not have seen the reaction in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I'm just saying, like, we just need to recognize that there are layers to this. I'm not saying that you're wrong, but the layer that people are talking about the most is the fact that she's a white woman.
Who can hoop?
As well.
Who can hoop? At the end of the day, she ain't just white, Michael. She can hoop.
Yeah, there are layers to this. I think some people, I some of the commentary on MSNBC, and I watched some of the commentary from sports analysts who really follow WNBA. So I remember when the WNBA started, and I watched it. We had the Detroit Shock here in Detroit. The owner of the Detroit Shock sold them because really there was a lack of support here in Detroit, but also the WNBA, the way it was promoted, okay, just in general, the way it was promoted, I think you see more interest in it now than you have over the past few years. A few things have happened. Number one, I think the fight to get Brittany Griner released from Russia, I think that helped to draw attention to how little WNBA players were being played, and then the fact that she had to play for a Russian team to make $1 million a season playing for Russia and couldn't get that here in the U.S. And then we know there were contract renegotiations. I think it was last year for WNBA players, and then also the NCAA championship, the rematch between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, that drew a record number of viewers. And like for myself, for the first time, I watched some of the WNBA draft. I don't ever remember watching any of the WNBA draft in the past. So it draws all of this attention, increase in ticket sales, viewership, as well as jerseys. That helps benefit everybody. And we know Angel Reese has contracts. We know even in college, Angel Reese had contracts. Caitlin Clark has a contract with Xfinity and others. So this is going to help everybody. But because this is America, there's always usually some racism in it as well.
But see, but to me, it's not even a question of racism. Look, I get all that. I understand history. I understand all those things. But I also understand marketing. And what I understand, Matt, is that if I'm looking at this here, and I'm also looking at how first of all WNBA teams have been losing money. All of them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so now you see what's happening in college. In order to actually build something, you need stars. You need stars that transcend their sports.
Yep, right.
And you had other stars, but the reality is, were they marketable stars? Maybe. But the reality is, when you have a player that crosses a certain threshold, that crosses a sports threshold, that now has what Michael just said, he said to actually watch the WNBA draft. What now happens is, when you have a player of that caliber, then what you do is you latch onto that. David Stern wasn't crazy. David Stern said, hell yeah, I got to latch on to Michael Jordan. And he was black.
Yep.
Because the reality is, you have to understand, it's a marketing game. You're competing in a sports landscape where you have the behemoth of the NFL. The second behemoth is the NBA. The third behemoth is Major League Baseball. Look, the PGA Tour for all of the, guess what? That tour is only worth $1.25 billion. That's far away from baseball, basketball, and football. We talk about the WNBA. You're lower than hockey. You're lower. You might be on par. You're probably lower even than Major League Soccer. So I dare say, the people kind of like, man, this is a damn shame what they doing. A bunch of these people who also would support Angel Reese never even followed WNBA. And I'll give y'all something. I didn't know. I did not know until somebody tweeted. They said all these teams are avoiding the Las Vegas Aces. And I was like, huh? I didn't know that WNBA teams, they pick their own preseason opponents. Those games are not scheduled by the league. I was like, wow. Why? Because I don't follow WNBA like that. And so a lot of people who are commenting are new to WNBA, don't know nothing about the history, don't know nothing about anything at all. And so they're like, I can't believe her game wasn't on. Y'all, they barely had their games on regular season. So what the WNBA now has to do, they now got to play a massive game of catch up because the interest of these incoming stars is now driving the fandom, and now the league is going to have to recalculate, and the teams are going to have to recalculate. And so you take the Washington franchise. If you're the Mystics, which is one in WNBA championship, they played their game somewhere else. If Caitlin Clark is coming to town, I'm gonna put that damn thing in Capital One. That's just marketing 101, Matt.
I don't think you're wrong, but I think you are focused myopically on the economic part of this.
You damn right I am.
This comes at the expense of a league that was comprised of already 60% players. And look at this. The reason Caitlin Clark has skyrocketed as the person that the WNBA has gotten behind is she is dominant. I mean, you're not telling the truth if you don't say she's not a fantastic athlete. However, she's also an Iowan. She's a Midwestern, inoffensive white woman who fits the exact prototype of who they want to run with to be the great white hope. Look at Larry Bird, French Lick, Indiana. I mean, how much did they play up that here's this country hick who can hoop with all the inner city brothers?
No. Hold on, let's be clear. That same country hick was like, don't y'all put no white dude on me to guard me. That's disrespectful. That same white boy saying, y'all better put a brother on me to show me some respect for my game. He could hold.
And he was cold, and Caitlin Clark can hoop. There's no question with that. But the reality is she fits an archetype that is marketable, more marketable than some of the women who are already in the league. And to not discuss that is to purposely overlook clear evidence. And then here's the thing. Kelly said it perfectly. That's why I hate when I go second or third, because two things can be true at the same time, right? And the WNBA would be, asinine. It would not be smart to not capitalize on this momentum, but we cannot be dishonest as though this momentum is not behind an archetypal white who is expensive and who fits that prototype.
And what I'm saying is, we also can.
It is inherent. It is inherent that Black people will see that and take umbrage with that. I don't think there's a problem with that. Two things can be true at the same time.
And guess what?
Umbrage. Caitlin Clark ran into a fan on the court, right? And there were all kinds of equivocations about why that happened and why it wasn't as problematic. But Angel Reese, motions to her in the championship game, and she's the spawn of Satan. And the reality is, even if the WNBA is capitalizing on this, we cannot overlook the fact that Caitlin Clark fits a prototype that is more marketable than a Black woman in a Black-dominated sport. That is just the truth of it.
And let me
think they're wrong for seeing it.
And let me be clear. When Tiger Woods came out, what was marketed, he was Black, he was different, he was dominant, and guess what? Every single white player, every single tour stop, they all were like, ooh, yeah, Lord. Because you know why? Tiger got all of them paid. And all I'm saying is this here, I ain't gonna be mad. If the white girl come in here and hoop, and she sit here and drop.
All right, fellas. So now you just heard the panel discussing this issue about Caitlin Clark and her influence in terms of her endorsements and so on and so forth. I did a segment a couple of weeks ago talking about Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. When Angel Reese was called a villain after she motioned same hand gestures that Caitlin Clark had been doing to her opponents in the NCAA tournament championship game last year. And I talked about how in America, when you're dealing with Black and white, especially in anything, whether it's sports, business, or anything, there will always be a racial component to it. So I stood firm behind Angel Reese on that issue and made the case that there was a racial component to why they made Angel Reese the villain, which is true. But when it comes to this particular issue in terms of these endorsements, I'm on the side with Roland Martin. This is about money and market. American businesses is all about the money. American businesses will market a dog if that dog is going to bring them money. That's all it's about. Yes, there will always be a racial component in America. There will always be a racial component to everything in America. But Caitlin Clark's marketing strategy by Nike and other companies has more to do with the cause of her appeal and her popularity and how she's been able to draw more people when she was in college as well as coming into the WNBA. So this, to me personally, is not about because she's white. Yes, there's always going to be some racial component to it because she's white. Yeah, of course, there will always be that. But at the end of the day, like Roland Martin said, if you look at this country and you look at the population of America, majority of this country are white. Supermajority are white. And these are the same white people who go to most of these games, buy these jerseys and tickets and so on and so forth. So when you have a young white female athlete who is very good, which nobody is disputing that, and a lot of white young girls and families have been drawn to this young lady, what else do you expect if you're a company like Nike, Adidas, and these other big companies? Definitely they're going to latch onto her and market her to make more money out of it. I mean, let's not forget, like you stated earlier, Tiger Woods is a black dude. Prior to Tiger Woods coming to golf, most golf players were all whites. But can you tell me any white golf player going back all the way to Arnold Palmer that have made more money than Tiger Woods in advertisement? No. And Tiger Woods is black. Just like Michael Jordan. When Michael Jordan came to the league, Larry Bird was already there. But Michael Jordan was marketed by Nike, made way more money for Nike and for himself than Larry Bird would ever make for them. So it wasn't just because Michael Jordan was black, but because he was good and was also good in terms of marketing him. Same with LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal. So at the end of the day, yes, there will always be a racial component to everything in America. But when it comes to this particular issue with regards to Caitlin Clark, I'm sorry, fellas. I'm sorry. Yes, she's white. Yes, there will be some racial component to it. But at the end of the day, also, she is marketable. I mean, she is marketable. And she already started making money when she was in college. Angie Reese also made some money in college, and she's also going to make some money. But at the end of the day, Caitlin Clark is so popular. I mean, she has really transformed. I mean, she transformed the NCAA tournament. I mean, this woman was drawing people from all walks of life in America. And out of that, she deserves to make a lot of money out of it as well. And now she transitioned to the WNBA. Her jersey, when she was picked by Indiana Fever, within a couple of days, were gone. Just because of her. And now, the WNBA team in Washington, D.C., the Mystics, have decided that some of their games will play at the Capital One Arena. Why are they going to play in Capital One Arena? Because they used to play at a small arena. But with the Caitlin Clark coming to town, definitely those tickets will be sold out. You wouldn't even get a ticket to go and watch that game. So if you're a company like Nike, Adidas, and all these big companies, and you get opportunity to market a superstar like Caitlin Clark, definitely that's what you're going to do. This is all about the money, man. This is all about the dollars. At the end of the day, yes, there will always be a racial component in America. When you talk about anything in America, there will always be a racial component to it. But when it comes to this particular issue, regardless of the racial component, it also has to do the marketability of Caitlin Clark. And she's proven it. She's drawn so many people. I mean, like he said, I mean, the dude on the panel said, he never watches WNBA draft. But this year, she watched it. I mean, this year, do you know the number of people who watch WNBA draft? I mean, according to some reports even, there are some people even predicting that the Indiana Fever might end up outselling the Indiana Pacers. I mean, the Indiana Pacers is the NBA, I mean, the men's NBA team in Indiana. And there was an article written by a sports guy in Indiana talking about Indiana Fever, because of Caitlin Clark, might end up filling more seats in the stadium than Indiana Pacers. So at the end of the day, it's all about money. It's all about the money. I mean, if you're marketable, you draw more people. I mean, people like you and people buying your jerseys and people are coming to see you and stuff. Businesses are going to go with you. Regardless of the racial component, if you are marketable, you are going to make the money. And that's what she's doing. So I have no qualms with her. I mean, I agree with Roland Martin on this issue. Yes, I was listening to some talk show programs this past week when this issue debate came on with some black folks making the same comment, talking about, oh, because she's a white girl, you know, now all of a sudden, no, fellas. Yes, there might be some truth to it. But at the end of the day, it's not just because she's a white girl, because she's marketable, because these companies are able to sell products if she is the face of that product. That is the bottom line. This is all about money, fellas. This is all about money. Here, this is all about the dollars. As far as Caitlin Clark is the face of this product, and she can sell 100 times more than they were selling. What else do you expect these companies to do? Do they have to go and pick somebody else? Heck no. So the reality of this is that, yes, there might be some racial component to it, but at the end of the day, it's not about just race. It's about because of the fact that she's more marketable, and she has proven it. And that is why she's going to be the face of WNBA and female sports for a long time. I mean, sometimes we Black people in America get caught up in some of these issues that really doesn't even make sense to me. Because we get caught up in things that, I mean, make it so petty that it becomes like we just don't have anything to fight for. When we have bigger issues to focus on our attention on. Because to debate this issue of Caitlin Clarke, to me, is petty. It doesn't even make sense talking about, oh, she's getting all this endorsement, she's making all this money. Come on, fellas. Let's focus on the issues that are important, that affect the livelihood of majority of African Americans in this country. Talk about police brutality, racial discrimination in different sectors of the economy. Those are the key issues that we have to focus on. The issue of Caitlin Clarke making more money because she is white, or because Nike is giving her endorsements, or Adidas, or these companies, that's not going to affect majority of Black people. That has nothing to do with my livelihood. So let's focus on things that affect majority of Black people. So that when we are talking about issues, people are going to take those issues seriously. But when you create an issue over a white female superstar who is making money because of her superstardom status and influence in the society, that's a losing battle to fight over. That's a losing battle. I mean, you're not going to win that battle. Because at the end of the day, her impact on majority of people in this country is very minimal in terms of their livelihood. Whilst we have very important issues concerning serious issues that are affecting the Black community, that would be worthwhile for us to debate and talk about. So, fellas, this is all I have for today. You know, I gave you a whole picture of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, that's what basically this whole show was about today. And I just gave you my opinion on what this is all about. But if it's Sunday, it's the Africa Weekly Talk. God bless you guys. Thank you, and peace and love.